Hi, boys and girls. It's time for your interactive read aloud. Today, that's going to look a little bit different because we are going back to revisit some of the books that we have read so far this year. And you read a couple of text sets that were really focused in on nonfiction information with illustrations that were very intentional to try to help you learn just as much from the pictures as from the text. And one of those was called Eye to Eye, and it really focused in on the eyes of different animals and insects and so forth. So I want to just look at a couple of those pages. This is the picture of the Atlantic Bay scallop, if you remember, and you can see all these little eyes here. And it says that the Atlantic Bay scallop is also known as the blue-eyed scallop. Its two rows of blue eyeballs are sensitive to movement as well as light, allowing the scallop to snap shut when danger threatens. The number of eyes can vary. One scallop was found to have 11 eyeballs. So amazing. Now, that's a really amazing fact when you read it, but the illustrator had a big job because that illustrator had to make sure that the reader could really picture something like that, because trying to get a picture in your head of a scallop with 11 eyeballs is pretty hard. So that close-up drawing to really add to what you were reading helps you to sort of picture what that looks like. Look carefully at that picture. There are so many details that the illustrator has carefully included, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. Now let's look at the next one. This is that jumping spider, and here this is a hunter, and it relies on its 8 eyes, right, to find and kill its prey. So then we get a close-up of the eyes here, and it says it has 2 pairs of eyes on each side of its head, and so they all detect movement, and the wide set pair of eyes on the front of its head provide that depth perception, so they know how far away something is and whether they can get to it or not. So again, we can read all about that. That's really fascinating, but it's the picture that makes it really happen for us as a reader. That's when we really understand. And the illustrator is very careful to include a lot of other details as well, not just the eyes. So let's look at a little chart here and think through. So in these illustrations, what did the illustrator carefully include? And then how's that make it look real? Because that's one of the things that illustrators will often do, is try to make something look very real, especially if it's nonfiction. So in that Atlantic Bay scallop, it was very detailed. Did you notice the multicolored shell was on there? See? And there, the little cilia, or the hairs that help it to eat, were on there, which you probably wouldn't have pictured from just the words, but the picture really helped you to know those were there. And then with the jumping spider, they had the hairs on its leg. Look at that, all the detail. And then even the stripes on the spider are back and sort of in the background, which is not something that the text even told you, but you learned it from the illustration. So another example of this is this book called Giant Squid, and they did a fantastic job there too of really honing in on several things. You can notice the length of these tentacles and the suction cups, right? And how, look at how long they are compared to this fish. That illustration really gives you some perspective in addition to what the text is saying. And like here you get the curve of the beak, which is just something that you wouldn't have really thought about. And these like little tiny blades on the tongue. So many things that they mention in the text, but when you can really see it in the illustration, it brings it completely to life. So then again, that curve of the squid's beak and the length and the color of its tentacles is very detailed in the illustrations. And what does that how does that make that illustration look real? Well, the shades of the color and the shadows really make it seem real. You're deep in the water here, and that's what it looks like. You've got fish up above, and it's really dark down there, right? And so you're sort of getting that feeling. There is some color, but it seems very dark because of where it is. It's not out in the daylight. So many things about that little illustration were intentional so that it would really make it look real. When readers notice how illustrators use specific details to make something appear real, you learn that illustrators make thoughtful decisions. This is not just a haphazard little drawing that they make in our class. This is very intentional to help the reader have an even greater understanding of the information that's being presented in the text. It helps you know that illustrators make thoughtful decisions about what to show and how to show it, right? And in these cases, the how to show it was to really help it to look real. So as you're reading, particularly nonfiction books with great pictures, be sure you're aware of that and that you think a little bit deeper about the illustrations, not just the text, not just what the author's doing, but those intentional, purposeful moves that the illustrator is making so that you can understand even better. That's it for your read aloud today. I hope that you'll look around your house and find a book with some great pictures and think twice about all of the work that the illustrator put into making that, using the illustrations to tell the story or to create a better understanding of the information. Enjoy reading today and have a wonderful rest of your Flex Day.